All right, everybody. Welcome to Creating Smart Salons, Spas, and Stylists. And we are so excited, and I am like so honored. We have literally one of my dream speakers that it took me 3 years to make this happen. And thank God for Doug Cox, who must have twisted arms and pulled hair to get Dr. Lew to come out of the shadows and participate with us. So we're so honored to have you, Dr. Lew, as our guest speaker today on the acronym SMART, which again is Service, Marketing, Attitude, Retail, and Team. And who better to talk about attitude than the king himself? And so I'm just going to read a little bit about Dr. Lew real quick. So our program today is with Dr. Lew Losoncy, who has been called America's Doctor of Encouragement. That's what. And Lew is a motivational speaker and author of only 28 books. Come on, man, get to work, buddy. And how encouragement makes the difference in leadership, teamwork, therapy, sales, mental health, and salon success. And so Dr. Lew helped the culture of Matrix become a leading company of professionals in the beauty industry in the 1990s. He has spoken in 24 countries and all 50 states and has been featured on some of the shows we watch and magazines we read. Lew brought the insight of psychology to our profession in his book, Psy-Cosmetologist, that he will inspire us today from. So Dr. Lew, thank you again so much for being here. We are honored and privileged and excited. And take it away, my friend. We are ready to rock and roll with you.
Well, thank you so much. And thank each of you for being here. I mean, just to be in the same place, setting with my hero, Doug Cox,
yes,
and Jay Williams and Neil Dukoff, and you got to be kidding me! This is a dream come true. This is like All-Star Day. How neat! And to be with the salon personnel, some owners. Wow, your profession to me is one of the most significant in the world. For those of you who aren't aware of why I got into the beauty profession, years ago, I had a practice in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I gave a patient some advice. And she came back to me and I said, Debbie, did you follow my advice? And she looked at me and she said, no, I didn't. And I said, why not? And she said these words that changed my life. She said to me, well, I know you thought it would be a good idea, doctor, but I talked to my hairdresser about it, and she thought that would be stupid. So I listened to my hairdresser. I said, what? You listened to your hairdresser about a personal problem? I gotta understand, listening about hair, what is going on here? So I closed up my office, and I started to, through Howard Hayfitz, I started to go to beauty salons and listen to conversations between the stylist and the client. I couldn't believe what I heard. I couldn't believe what takes place in that chair. I heard people asking their hairdresser for medical advice. I heard it all. And the more you talk with hairdressers, the more I discovered this is what their life was about. Being a psychologist, it made me really curious as to, I've never seen a relationship like a stylist-client relationship. I mean, I'm talking about a doctor-patient relationship, talking about a dentist-patient relationship. There's something closer in the relationship between the stylist and the client. And so I tried to understand this. Why is this happening? Well, in the 80s, I wrote a book with Donald Scolari called Psy-Cosmetology, bringing the field of psychology, which is what we'll be talking about today, and motivation into the field of cosmetology. And today, my dear friend Jay Williams has so beautifully and capably picked up and helped advance that field of psy-cosmetology. So why is it that people trust their salon professional? Well, I discovered 3 things, actually 4. First of all, touch. Now, we know in today's age of social distancing that this is not as crucial, but the human need for contact with other human beings is so essential. In fact, years ago, close to 4,000 years ago, one of the kings thought, what language would children speak if nobody touched them or talked to them? And so he did an experiment with another king from another area. And they found out that the children, even though they got fed and everything, nobody talking to them or holding them, they withered it away from a condition that we now know as marasmus. And it's a lack of contact with people. Well, of course, we're seeing it a little bit in today's age. And the fact that today, I mean, there are only 5 professions in the world that touch people: the doctor, the dentist, the nurse, the massage therapist, and the salon professional. Because of that, today we cannot touch except while doing the service. We still can contact people by the way we look at them, with the eye-to-eye contact that we make, and the feeling. One of the things, if we get the time today, we can talk about our body language. Our body language is more important in our communication than is our words. Because if our words does not match our body language, if they do not match our body language, our words don't seem true to the other person. The little boy says, "Do you love me, Daddy?" And Daddy says, "Of course I love you. Now go outside and play." Well, the words that he's hearing is, "I love you," but the body language and the tone does not match. So that one of the things I believe for hairdressers of today is that they begin to become aware of their presence underneath that mask, and their presence with their eye contact, and that their smile is important. Even though their smile can't be seen, it can be felt. And so that I said there were 4 reasons why hairdressers' relationship are so special. One is touch. One is the frequency of contact. And this is huge, because before every major life event, where does a person go? They go to their salon professional. Before weddings, before divorces, before every big day, the first day of kindergarten, going to school. And the hairdressers, watching this person grow up in their chair with all of the equity of the shared experiences emotionally that they've had through the years. The first date, the first boyfriend, the first night of playing as a cheerleader, and the hairdresser's out to see the girl that she's been doing her hair for 10 years out there in the high school uniform. And high school graduations. And that sad day of leaving for the university far away. What do? They hug. I mean, does she hug her dentist, or does she hug her doctor? It's so special. A third reason is I've never seen a relationship that has this quality. Psychologists spend years to be able to do this. It's called unconditional acceptance. And what it means is, and if any of us have a relationship in our life, just one of these, it's so special. It means you are accepted without conditions. You're not accepted because you get A's or B's or C's. You're not accepted because you got a good job. You are accepted, and you are loved, and you are treasured. When we are in a relationship with unconditional positive regard, unconditional acceptance, in that relationship, we're going to open up. Why? Because we feel like we're not being judged. Well, the uniqueness of the stylist-client relationship is that embraces it better than anything. The person in the client working in the chair is talking and sharing, and the hairdresser's listening and sharing back the feelings. That's called empathy. After hearing a person say something, sharing back the feelings that they have. This then encourages the person to feel accepted. There's finally a place where I'm accepted. I'm not judged. That's why the hairdresser hears comments nobody else hears. Nobody else hears. And the family doesn't even know because of this quality of unconditional positive acceptance. And the fourth quality of the intensity of the stylist-client relationship is the fact that people are not only having their hair changed and their hair upgraded and their hair fixed, they're having their, as a result of that, psychologically, they're changing their levels of courage and confidence and hope. The person who won't go out on a date because she doesn't feel she looks good goes to her hairdresser and leaves. With all the comments in the salon, she looks at herself in the mirror, she goes home, she's ready for the world again. How much is that service worth? My God. About 5 years ago, my mother-in-law was very ill, and her hair, and she didn't want to go out. And it was Mother's Day weekend. And she told her husband, I don't want to go. I don't want to see the kids. She was very ill. We sent an angel named Tara, a hairdresser, to visit her and to do her hair. And Tara worked on her hair, told her how beautiful she was. And Tara left, and my mother-in-law's husband said, you look beautiful. And she looked into the mirror and she said, can we have the kids over for Mother's Day? That was their last Mother's Day together. Without that hairdresser in her life, that wouldn't have been. And this happens every day in every city, in every street corner. This is what's taking place in salons. This is why the profession that you've chosen or you've chosen to work with is so filled with so much joy. You just have to see it. And that's why we're here today, to talk about the heart of the SMART system that Oscar talks about, the A, the attitude. And to kick this part off, I'd like to start off with, let me get to the theme first, and I'll close with this theme. And if there's only one sentence you remember from the whole time with all the other stuff, I want you to remember it. And that theme is this: our attitude is our number one tool for living. We have our money, that's our financial resource. We have our God, that's our spiritual resource. We have our friends, they're our social resources. But what is our psychological resource? I'm a psychologist. That is our attitude, motivationally speaking. Because we are not a product of our environment. We are a product of our attitude. Through the years in studying the healthiest, happiest people, I asked myself the question, can I boil down the healthiest, happiest people in 4 or 5 or 6 phrases and the qualities that they have? Is it possible in a period of an hour's time with a patient or a client? Is it possible they can change their life by having these 5 insights? And I believe so. We've had many people who said, I've gone to a therapist for years, but what I've taken away from psychosmetology in an hour has solved many of my issues because it gets right to it. Now, on an interesting side note, years ago in our Pennsylvania home, our little daughter said, Daddy, I want to pop some popcorn. And I looked at the little 5-year-old and I said, yes, oh, this is going to be awesome. She said, Dad, any other house, you just pop the popcorn. Here, it's a big deal. I said, oh my God, this is awesome. I said, when you put the popcorn in, when you pull it out as soon as the first kernel pops. And she puts it in, pulls it out. We pulled it out, and the first kernel popped. I said, that's the early popper. What did they get that the others didn't get? I said, put another batch in. We're going to listen for the average poppers. And you know how corn pops, pop, pop, and then pop, 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 pop. She pulled it out. I said, why did it take so long for them to get what the early popper got? Let's put it in and hear the late poppers. At the end, there are always two. Pop, pop. I said, why did it take them so long? I said, you're 5 years old, honey. I'm going to study the wisdom of the greatest thinkers who ever lived. And I'm going to study the wisdom of the greatest people who've had the most fulfilling, meaningful lives. And we're going to have a book, and the book's going to come out. It's going to be called The Early Poppers. And as you can see here, we captured the first kernel of corn. And in that book, like a lot of the ideas we talk about today, are these 5 main ideas. Idea number 1. If every day, I'd like everybody on 3 to yell this out. I am alive. 1, 2, 3. I am alive. Now, I'd like you to do this. I'd like you to, before you yell it out, I'd like you to reflect on what that actually means. That during your 2.5 billion seconds of life, you have a moment in which you were consciously aware. See, it's saying it, but more importantly, and this is where we're going today with attitude, I am consciously aware of the fact that in this universe, which is 13.25 billion years old, I, at this moment, have the quality of aliveness. Now on 3, I'd like you to yell out, I am alive, with that feeling. 1, 2, 3. I am alive. We are alive. Yeah, we have some issues going for us, but that's what aliveness is about. Aliveness is about not I am living a perfect life or things are perfect, but it's about I have my unlimited creative mind, my passionate heart, and my awareness that I can walk to the right or I can choose to walk to the left, and I will wind up with 2 different destinies based upon that choice that I put into play at this moment. Nobody chose that for me if I am alive and fully functioning. So, every day of your life, I encourage you to wake up and to say this. Today is the most important day of my whole life. Why? Because this is the one I have now. This is the one I am in. This is the one I am living today. This is the one I can influence. Well, the worst thing that we can do is to live in our past. I've had a patient one time say to me, I've had the worst past you can imagine. I said, I'm sorry to hear that, but I have great news for you. He said, what? I said, it's over. He said, what? I said, your past is over. Didn't you know that? What were you thinking when you were using an event that occurred last Thursday and it is in your mind space for today? You only have 2.5 billion seconds of life. You're missing today because you're preoccupied with what happened back there last Thursday. Well, someone said to me one time at a birthday party, she said, I'm the big 4-0. I said, imagine if this was your 60th birthday, Christy. How much would you give to go back to your 40th, which is where you are at right now? She said, okay. I said, but when you're 60, remember, you want to be 40. You want to be where you are right now. Here you are at 40. And I remember when you were 20, you were upset. because you wanted to be 21. Well, there's only one way to live, and that is the most powerful moment of my life is the one right in front of me, because I am alive right now. And if I'm going to make a decision for my life, it's got to be now. And I ask people a question, and we don't have time today to do this, but I ask people a question. Finish this sentence. With a little more courage, I would. And whatever you conclude, I suggest that is really important to you. And so here we are. We are alive. This is our moment in the history of the magnificent universe. Now, one of the problems about awareness and aliveness is what we call anxiety. And I'd like to talk about anxiety because there's so much of it in today's world. A synonym for anxiety is uncertainty. Anxiety means the same thing as uncertainty means. In other words, the problem with anxiety is, I don't know. I'm not calling the doctor because I don't know. Anxiety is holding me back. Anxiety is not bad because every big moment of our lives, every great achievement of our life was preceded with a lot of anxiety. If you think of the greatest moment, the greatest achievement of your life, did you not have anxiety before that? So anxiety is like playing baseball and being on first base. I don't have anxiety until I take a lead. When I take a lead, now I could get tagged out. But my only way of getting to second base is through anxiety. So anxiety is more important as a part of living and becomes such a crucial part that dealing with anxiety is so crucial. It holds people back from success. And I'm saying today, we understand anxiety simply means I don't know. I don't know before I go up to bat if I'm going to strike out or hit a home run. Anxiety is keeping me from coming down and batting. But it's only when I come down here, even if I strike out, I learn. And I'm better next time. So anxiety becomes a crucial part of what we're talking about today. Do not be stopped by anxiety. Oscar calls it a wall. Do not be stopped by that wall. Start focusing in on the accomplishments of taking that wall down. And that becomes the focus rather than the anxiety of the wall. And also many days of our life, how many days do we live on robot, on automatic pilot? I mean, we get 30,000 days of life. How many days you wake up in the morning, answer the phone the same way? Hello, 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 hello. Every day I answer the phone differently. One time the phone rang at 4:30 in the morning. I picked it up. I said, good morning, whoever you are. May I say I was going to get up at 8 o'clock, and you have given me an additional 3.5 hours awake time. And I said, did I call it with this news you're about to give me? You're going to propel me higher than I've ever been. And I want to give you your horoscope for today. I don't care if you're Aries or Neptune. Today is going to be the greatest day of your life. Why? Because you consciously took some time to say, I am alive and I am going to achieve things today. And the things that are out there are not going to stop me. And at the end of the line, I heard, I must have the wrong number. But the guy said, may I call you back occasionally? So the anxiety that holds us back, we have to master by understanding it's going to be there. But let me focus on the positive outcome of this uncertainty. Remember, number two, let's go to number two. Number one was, I am alive. Number two, I'd like you to say this to yourself every day. I am choosing my attitude today. I am choosing my attitude today. Just imagine if we helped our staffs just to realize when they come into the salon in the morning with an attitude, that they're well aware right up front that you're aware and everyone's aware. This is something you're choosing to do. The traffic jam did not do it. This did not do it. Your husband did not do it. You are choosing your attitude. Whenever I see any kind of attitude in people, I'm seeing it as the choice that they're making right now. And it could be a great attitude. They're working their life in such a way as to have a great attitude at this moment. They're choosing that attitude. Well, when we think about this, how important in life it is that we have this great attitude. And how do we do that? Well, I'd like to suggest something here that I believe the next 5 minutes we can change our life with this insight. My mentor, his name was Albert Ellis. He was voted the #1 psychologist for the last century. He passed away in 2009. He developed cognitive behavioral therapy, which we've heard the term. What does that actually mean? Well, Albert Ellis developed this system. It's called rational thinking. And it's as simple as A, B, C. At A, Dr. Ellis said, is an activating event. And that is something happens to us in life that activates us cognitively and emotionally to think and to feel a certain way. Until Ellis came along, we believed that it is the A, the activating event, that caused the C, the consequent emotion. Somebody bumps the back of my car, I'm upset. At C, we believe that that was automatic. A caused C. But Dr. Ellis raised the question, if 1,000 people all got the back of their car bumped, would all 1,000 people be equally angry or even angry? We go, no. Well, why is that? It's because it is not the activating events in the environment, in the world, that are causing our emotions. But then, Dr. Ellis, what is causing our emotions? In between A, the activating event, and C, our consequent emotion, is B, our beliefs about the activating event. What we are telling ourselves about what happened. That is the cause of our emotions at C. In other words, what am I saying? I am saying that the things that happen to us in life are not the cause of our emotions. What is the cause of our emotional life is the things that we are telling ourselves at B, our belief about the activating event. Now, William James, the great American philosopher, said we function by streams of consciousness. And that is, we're late for work because of the traffic jam. We come in and we're all upset, and our words, our belief, boy, the traffic, I'm not that. That stream of consciousness triggers us emotionally into finding other things that are upsetting us and taking us down that path. And we don't even realize it's happening to us because we believe this is caused by this outside event that occurred. But what if we taught our staff how to use the streams of consciousness to create a positive flow, to look at things differently, to say, I am alive and I am choosing my attitude, and to send it in the direction that is to give us a different outcome. Wow, can it be done? It's the most important finding, I believe, in the whole history of psychology. See, human beings, unless they're aware of this, are not likely going to do this. Why? Because human beings have an animal nature and a human nature. Our animal nature is the nature that's conditioned by our past, by our experiences, by the events of our life. So when we have psychologist B.F. Skinner say, we are products of our environment, Skinner worked with rats and pigeons and birds and people in controlled settings, such as prisons and hospitals. And he said, yes, you can get people to do this by reinforcing them at the right time. Absolutely. However, people in free environments still act out of their animal nature. That is, an event happens to them, they automatically respond with emotions to the event. They're not using all of those resources at B, their belief, their ability to think, to dream, to plan, to invent, to create, to decide, to determine. All of these as part of our will are our strength to deal with things like the economy, the challenge of COVID-19. We have the stuff to do it. It's inside of us to do it if we use it. However, we get caught up in the press and friends and the streams of consciousness. Just listen to dialogues you have and remember the streams of consciousness. Where will this go if I follow what my neighbor's saying, or if I follow this? Shall I tack on here and take it further downhill? Or shall I use my ability to think, to plan, to dream, to create, to invent, to decide, to determine? And all of these forces I have inside of myself to reroute the challenges of the time, or the challenges of the day, or even the challenges of an illness, because I have it within me. Because it's not what happens to me that affects me. It's the way I look at it. And I take my stream of consciousness to deal with those events of my life. It's called rational thinking. I'll never forget, I taught 5th grade one year, and 2 kids failed the test, Jimmy and Charlie. They both, at A, the activating event, got a paper saying failure. Jimmy said, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm never going to take this test again. Well, we can predict if that's how he views it at B, he's creating his feelings of inadequacy when he says, I'm stupid. Charlie, who was a nonchalant kid in the room, kind of kid called me his 5th grade teacher by my first name. Charlie looked at me and says, hey, Lou, what's with Jimmy? I said, Jimmy's upset because he failed the test. He believes he's worthless. Charlie said to me, I failed that test too. I said, I'm well aware of that, Charles. He said, but I didn't fail that test yesterday because I'm worthless like Jimmy. I said, why did you fail the test yesterday? This is the greatest answer I've ever heard in my life. He said, the only reason I failed the test yesterday is I didn't put the right answers in the right places that time. I go, what? And he showed me his paper. He said, are the right answers in there? I said, no. He said, what if they would have been? I said, then you would have passed. He said to me, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Well, my God. Now, our attitude, the key word in your SMART, the heart of it, our attitude is composed of 3 things. If you talk to a psychologists look at human beings, 3 things. their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions. These are the three components of attitude: thoughts, feelings, and actions. In our attitudinal toolbox that we have at B to cope with the challenges of life at A is our toolbox that we have. My thoughts. Thoughts are real things. They're like bricks. They can build or they can destroy. Stream of consciousness going this way or going that way. Thoughts are things. Well, our feelings are a product of our thoughts. Watch a thought that someone has, you can sense what their feeling is. That is a feeling that they are creating by choosing to use those thoughts. This will be the resultant feeling. And actions are a product. Feelings are the fuel, the motivation to get actions in life. Now, some of your clients, some of your staff are thinkers. That's their strong suit. Some are right-handed, some are left-handed. Some are thinkers. Some are feelers. And some are doers. The reason people have conflicts, one of the big reasons, is because they have a different, what I call attitudinal style. I have developed a test where you can determine if someone is a thinker, feeler, doer, what their strongest is, and so forth. And if you had this on every one of your clients coming into the salon, you would know exactly how to approach them. Thinkers, when you're retailing, retail is part of the S.M.A.R.T project. Thinkers, they need cerebral stimulation. They need reasons. There are 5 reasons, 3 reasons for this product. That's what a thinker wants to hear. Feelers need to be moved emotionally. They're bored with this 3 reasons, 5 reasons. This will look great on you. This shampoo will be perfect for your hair. You'll feel it. Doers, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Now, thinkers and feelers, they don't get along in a salon. Why? Because thinkers are often processing, planning, and feelers are feeling. And doers are just doing. A doer in the salon is moving the chairs around, and the thinker's saying, "What are you doing?" Moving the chairs around. You got to think before you act. So we see that combination as part of attitude becomes important to become aware of when you're with a person. Are you going to use thinking words, feeling words, or doing words? And so we have now 2 important components. Number 1, I am alive. Number 2, I choose my attitude. You remember, there were 5 points I said that in therapy and in life, really, in life, these are the ones to get. Every day, awareness that this is the most important day of my life. This is the one I live in and act in right now. And I am choosing my attitude. When my attitude is bad, that's because it's a choice from me to take my stream of consciousness in that direction rather than this one. Point number 3, I change people's lives. Well, we have to find meaning for our life and our work in ourself. That's called inner security. It's not in the client saying, "Good job." That's neat. That's the ice cream on the cake. To find inner security, we have to go inside of ourselves and not be dependent on the outer world's feedback and statements. To be praised, to be punished. We have to, the more inner security an individual has, the less outer predictability they need. Think about it. You've heard of the challenge of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, where everything has to be in order and control. Why is that? Because I need to find security in predictability in the outside world, as opposed to having the inner security inside of myself. The story goes that 3 men were out in the field tilling the soil. And they asked the first man, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm tilling the soil." They asked the second man, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm earning a living." They asked the third man, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm feeding the community." They were doing the same job. Look at how that rich view that that third person has can change, can give their life meaning for all 30,000 days. The other 2 are just getting through life. The whole point of our time together is, again, to reinforce the idea. We are not a product of what happens out there, and we are not a product waiting and dependent upon the environment and the world and these choices and those choices. We are a product of our view of life. And as Bertrand Russell said, in the vast realm of the alive, creative human mind, there are no limitations. In a mind with no limitations, why am I upset? In a time in which I find myself to be alive, why am I upset? I got everything I need. I have life, and I have my ability to choose my attitude towards it. And we've certainly all seen people who, against all kinds of circumstances, were able to make their life meaningful, and others who have everything gone for them, who are taking their stream of consciousness downhill. Well, in a salon, we change people's lives. You do it every day of your work, every day of your life. And I believe as a person interested in encouragement, how did I get interested in encouragement? Well, I had an experience when I was in high school. In my junior year, I was failing 5 out of my 6 subjects at one time. I had 5 Fs, but I did have a D. And the high school principal called me into his office. He was angry. He said, "How do you explain this? 5 Fs and a D." I said, "Well, that's pretty simple. I'm just putting too much time into that one subject." The good priest didn't necessarily respond positively to it, but nevertheless, I mean, even if I got I got 99 right out of 100 in English tests in 11th grade, and the nun accused me of cheating. She said, "Louis, you were cheating." I said, "Why do you say that?" She said, "Because I watched where you sat during that test. You sat right beside David, our top student. And both you and David got 99 right out of 100. And you both missed the same one, number 56. I said, "Well, take a look at the answer to number 56. If both of us have the same answer for that, yes, that does prove David copied. But if we have 2 different answers, then I couldn't have been copied." She said, "Louis, that's brilliant." And she got both papers out, and I proved to her I couldn't have possibly been copying, because fortunately for me, for number 56, we had 2 different answers. I'll never forget it. David wrote, "I don't know," and I put, "Neither do I." And so here we have, but we had a person at Central Catholic. He was a priest. And one day I'm walking down the hallways, and he looked me in the eyes. He said to me, "You are fantastic." I said, "Can you tell me just a little bit more?" He said, "I just saw 2 nuns walking down the aisle, and you had the nuns so upset they were actually swearing." I said, "Is that good?" He said, "If you can make nuns swear, it shows you have the ability to influence people. Did you ever think of how you could use that?" I said, "I never even knew I had it." He said, "Someday you could become a teacher or a salesman." Me, a teacher. Because of him, I went home and studied that, B+ to him. And he said to me these words that I say to you now: Never make the mistake of limiting the visions of your future by something as narrow as the limited experiences of your past. And that began my search to write books on encouragement. Where does encouragement fit into the salon? Well, we now know that the encouraging salon professional, some of our research in the early 80s indicated that more people choose salons based upon personality, personal factors of a stylist than they do because of the technical work. Now this was the research in the mid 80s that we at Matrix really built the company on the role between the hair stylist and client, and so what are parts of an encouraging relationship? The number one component is the quality of empathy. Empathy is simply listening to the words underneath listening to the feelings underneath a person's words. When you listen to a person's words, translate them into feelings and play back those feelings. Empathy also has that quality we talked about earlier of unconditional acceptance. Because if you're using empathy, you're not judging. You're just responding to the feelings of the person. And we know that is the number one quality of people in sales. I wrote a book for salespeople called If It Weren't for the Customer, Selling Would Be Easy. And in that book, so much of that book is about empathy and how to listen, how to understand. So the first quality is empathy. The second quality is focusing on people's strengths. I'm always kind of amazed when I hear a salon professional talking about all the things that are wrong with a person's hair. And I go, wow, there are better ways of doing that. Because what we tell a person about their hair is what we are telling them about themselves. And that the connection is sometimes hard to make, but the connection is there because people are holistic. And so there are other ways. Focus in on people's strengths. See what's right with people. A third quality of encouragement is the similarity attraction principle says, the more I think you are similar to me, the more I like you. Now, when you think about that, the stylist, the skilled stylist who's going to be an encourager, not only has empathy and focuses in on strengths, but now finds things in common. Often uses the terms like, people like us, we do this. Uses terms like we, not you, right, we. Never uses the word but. When you're discussing something with someone and they say something, and then we respond with but, what are we doing? We're putting ourselves into a disagreement frame and we're putting them into preparation for the fight. Instead of the word but, use the word and to bring the conclusion. Somebody says, Philadelphia is the capital of Pennsylvania. I would respond, and Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania, with a smile, without them being deleted for what they just said. Get rid of that word but. And also, very importantly, learning to mirror their body language. The faster they speak, the faster you speak. The more expressive a client is, the feelers are like this, the more expressive we become. And that's called bonding. And so Another quality of getting people excited in a salon to change their life is energizing them. And what does that mean? Getting them excited about what you have to offer. The social comparison theory in psychology says, get this, when people are in doubt about which emotion to experience, they look to others for the clue. First time I ever flew in a plane. In fact, it's the only way I've ever flown. From Philadelphia to Miami, and the plane's shaking. Okay. When I don't know how to feel about an experience, I'm in a state of social comparison. We all can remember moments in our life when we were in a state of social comparison. Should I be scared? Should I not be? This plane's bouncing. And the flight attendant came walking by, smiling, reassuring. I took on her emotion and relaxed. We all know when a doctor's reading our test results and the doctor's not saying anything, they're just going, we're in that state, social comparison. Whatever you give me the emotion, which I will take on. Well, how do we apply social comparison theory in the salon? When you have this new product that you really love, they don't know the product. They're in a state of social comparison. Your enthusiasm adds value to that product. They will pick up your enthusiasm and because in the absence of an emotion, you're giving them that emotion for that product. Why? Well, because you truly believe in that product. That's why. And it has to be genuine. Of course, it has to be genuine. But you wouldn't have the product there unless you believe that too. So, number one, healthiest, happiest people. Every day in awareness, I am alive. Number two, every day in awareness, I'm choosing my attitude. Number three, I'm going to the salon today to change the world. And how can I change the world? A simple smile changes the world. My smile changes the world. Because remember, we just talked about social comparison. I'm directing the stream of consciousness as to we are going in a positive direction. We're not there. In no way are we going downhill. We're going this way. And teaching people how to treat you. We teach people how to treat us. We teach people, I don't go that way. I don't talk about people behind your back. You may want to talk about of our other friend. I don't do that. We teach them. And that's how they learn how to treat us. Number four, my favorite. Point number four, what is. And this is especially crucial in today's society. What is was first said by the Stoic Epictetus 2,300 years ago. He had a little porch, which is called a stoa, where he preached. And what he would preach is get into rhythm with life. Whatever's happening should be happening. That's what life is. Get into acceptance of it. By the way, he was the biggest influence in Christianity because St. Paul learned from Stoicism. And St. Paul brought these ideas to Christianity and other religions. So, what is. My wife Diane and I wrote a book called What Is. And the front cover was our little daughter. The experience actually happened to us. Coming out of a TGI Fridays, she gets a balloon. Remember when they gave balloons? And her balloon goes up in the air. And she starts bawling, screaming, I want that balloon. I sat down on the curb with her. I said, honey, we can go inside and get another balloon. We're going to be fine, any color you want. But if you need this balloon, then we're going to have a problem. This is going to be a problem. So at the front cover of our book, when you lose that balloon, and what it is. Now, what is it? If we leave today and it's 70 degrees outside your beautiful home there in New York or Georgia or wherever you're at, and you go outside and it's snowing, you say it shouldn't be snowing. Should it be snowing? Yes. Why? Because it is. It is snowing. It should be snowing. Now, here's the problem. We all have this problem. I got it, everybody got it. At times we think the universe revolves around us personally. Did you ever wait to pull out into a traffic jam and there are 10,000 cars and you're upset? You know why you're upset? Because deep down inside, you know that all 10,000 of these people met earlier and had a convention. How long can they keep me from getting out? That's how important I am. I mean, you ever go into a supermarket and you have to choose this line or that line? And inevitably, the line you choose, what happens? The other lines start to move up faster. And the lady at the one you chose, the cash register, doesn't know the prices of anything. And you're there like, wow. And same way with a bank teller. My God. I had a guy one time, he said to me, he said, I'm waiting for this bus. I wait an hour, no bus. Finally, after an hour, I light up a cigarette. What happens the minute I light up a cigarette? The bus comes. He said, it happens to me every time. I said, Tom, why are you so stupid? He said, what do you mean? I said, why do you wait so long to light up the cigarette? If it's a cigarette, it brings the bus. Well, because of that, because we think the universe revolves around us personally, what do? Well, as a result, we start to create the word should. Now, the word should creates misery. Every time I say the word should, I'm creating misery for myself. Why? Because I'm running away from reality. There are no shoulds. Where do they come from? These shoulds. Well, guy said to me one time, I got 10 red lights in a row and I shouldn't get that many. So I had to ask him, how many should you get? He had an answer. 4. Where is it written? It's written in his head. He has this idea in his head. 4. No, so he's getting upset at these lights that change every 45 seconds, whether he's there or not. He's getting upset with them. There are no shoulds, oughts, or musts in the world. They're in our head, creating this ideal reality that we're mad at reality for not, the reality of the universe for not living up to my expectations. One of 8 billion people. There are no shoulds. I shared a desk with a guy one time. He said, I put my car keys on the desk. They should be there. I looked at the desk. I said, have you noticed? They're not. He said, but they should be. That's where I put them. I said, if you made a list of places where these keys are at this particular moment, I would say the top of this desk would have to be the least likely place in the universe where these keys are right now. Why? Because this is the only place we know they're not. And this is the way he's looking. Every time I say the word should, I'm becoming a magician. Ladies and gentlemen, currently you do not see any keys on top of the desk. However, through the use of my magic should wand, I can make them arrive. Abracadabra, you should be there. Now, I can do this for a minute. You should be there. I can do this for an hour. You should be there. You should be there. If you want to, you could should on yourself for the rest of your life. I offer an alternative today. It's called sanity. When we come to the desk of life, we say the keys, they're not there. This is the leading clue to the early ripening mind that they're somewhere else. They're not there. There are no shoulds. When you get home late some night, somebody says, you should have been home earlier. I want you to look at them and say, I couldn't have been home earlier because earlier I was somewhere else. There are no shoulds. By the way, I want to warn you, after this hour together with these ideas, I want you to be prepared when you go back to the people you know who weren't here, that they're going to be acting in the same way, and you're going to be realizing how sick some of them really are in the way they're looking at life. And that's just the way it is. Well, anyway, there are no shoulds. And remember this, the most anything in life that you will ever experience is an inconvenience. One time in beautiful Des Moines, Iowa, one of the first big shows I ever worked at with Miller Beauty Supply, I fell off a stage. First time I'm talking to a big group of hairdressers. I tripped over a mic, fell off to the stage, landed on the floor, picked myself up, grabbed the mic. I said, that was an inconvenience. Why? Because I fell. I hurt myself. Was it a tragedy? No. Could it have been? Yes. I could have called it a tragedy, but it's an inconvenience. And they're laughing. I said, I'll be honest with you. Did I want to fall? No. Should I have fallen? Yes. Why? Because I was standing at a place, the only thing underneath my feet was air. What am I going to say? I think I'll hang here for a while. Nothing else could have happened. Well, years later, one of the ladies in the room who had a salon in Wyoming called me up and said that she drove her car into her salon. There she was, her husband was in the car with her, in the salon. And she gives a whole new meaning to the word styling station. And her husband looks at her and says, what would Dr. Lew say about this? And she said, I looked at my husband and said, he'd say this was an inconvenience. Absolutely. Why? Because they had to rebuild their salon. This is an inconvenience. We're going through an inconvenience right now. This is an inconvenience. We don't want to have to do some of the stuff we're doing. It's an inconvenience. But you know what? Those who rise above, realizing they're choosing their attitude and they're alive, and this is the lifetime they're gonna have the best beauty business that they can possibly have, regardless of what's going on. They're the ones that are going to rise in the occasion. So remember this one other thing. The Stoics said, make 3 columns for yourself. First column says, can't be changed. Middle column says, might be changed. Third column says, can be changed. Take everything going on in your life where you have a challenge and put each one under either can't be changed, might be able to be changed, or can be changed. And Epictetus said, all of those things that you see in that column that can't be changed, never spend one more second, because it's wasted time. The minute you go that way, you're taking your stream of consciousness and focusing in on something that can't be changed. In fact, might I suggest, love the things you can't change. Why? Because you don't have to think about those things anymore. I wrote a little poem one time that says, days and days of sloppy rain led the cynics to complain. But the other guy, the bright-eyed fella, looked at the rain and created the umbrella. Here we have those things that can't be changed. Those things that can be changed. When you make your list from all the challenges you have on your life right now, and you put them into challenge can be changed, change them. Change them. But then the question is, what about those things that go to the middle column, may be able to be changed? Well, that's just as simple. And here's why it's simple. Let's take, you're in a hair show competition. Can you guarantee victory? No. There are other factors. Well, what can you guarantee? You can guarantee in that column of maybe changed that you can give it your best shot. And so that now goes into column of can be changed. I can give it my best effort. I can work at it. The judge and the judges who make the decision, maybe $50 will help, but in that column, I can't change it. So I don't worry about that. I focus in on the things that I can do. So let's review the 4 points so far. Number one, every day of your life, I am alive. Today's the most important day of my whole life. I get 30,000 of them, and this is one of them now. Number two, I choose my attitude today. Nobody does that for me. I choose. Number three, I am going to change the world today through my next patient, client, through my next experience with a person. Number four, what is. And number five, I will find a way. This is one of the most important qualities of a smart person's attitude. And by the way, Oscar, I love that SMART. I love those 5 points that you focus in on. A person's service, S, service, M, marketing, A, attitude, R, retail, T, teamwork. Someday we'll have to do a thing on teamwork. And so if you'll notice, every great achievement was done by an optimist. How many streets in your hometown are named after pessimists? Have you ever been to a testimonial dinner for a nitpicker? Have you ever seen a classified ad in a newspaper say, come join our salon team and drag us down? There's only one way to go in life, optimism. Diseases are cured by optimists. Flags are put on the moon by optimists. And those working in the research labs today, we want every one of them to be optimists, to believe that we can do it, to make a difference. Why does belief work? Well, what happens with belief, think about our minds. We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Think of the conscious mind as being the top of the ocean water. Think of the subconscious mind as being the 6, 7, 12 miles down. We only see the conscious part of our mind. That's the part we control. The unconscious part of our mind is our resource. It's inside of us. Our conscious mind, when we go to our GPS, we set up a destination. We're choosing that. Our conscious part of our mind chooses it, sets up a destination. Our unconscious part of our mind is the GPS system with all of its knowledge to get us there. It can't get us there unless we up front have a goal, have a dream of getting to this spot in our conscious mind. And then our subconscious mind will take us there using its resources. We lived on the 16th floor in Philadelphia. If I go to the elevator and don't press 16, I'm not likely to get there. I might, but I'm not likely to. The elevator doesn't care one way or another. That's the subconscious part. So I have to direct the elevator 16, and that takes me directly to it by that direction. That's how these conscious and subconscious parts of our mind work together. Now, earlier when we were talking about our stream of consciousness, we get things going in one direction. We start talking about how bad things are in the world, and we start joining in and then add on, and we're taking, the group of us are taking this thing totally downhill as opposed to redirecting it through our conscious mind. We're not going that way. We're going this way, focusing in on what's right, the strengths and so forth. And so that's the power of believing that problems have solutions. And every challenge that we face, we either say, what is, if it's going to go in the column of can't be changed, or we say, I will find a way, if it's going into the column of things that can be changed. And that difference is the difference of our life. And so, how do we become an optimist? Well, just as you're doing here in Oscar's group, or any of you who worked with Neil or Jay and my hero, Doug, any of you that associating with people who are upbeat, associating with people who are going places, associating with people who are going to refuse to get on that negative stream of consciousness, because it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere except gives one a temporary feeling of, I can give up. One of the former presidents of the United States, when defeated in an election, said, "You're not done when you're defeated. You're done when you quit." And that's a personal choice. And everything over this last hour or so that we've been together has all been on the things that we can control. Our choices in life, our view of life, our way of approaching life, our thinking, our feeling, and our actions, which are part of our attitudinal toolbox. I did not want to spend 1 second on what if things change in the world politically, or what if things change in the world with COVID? What if things change in the world with this or that? Why? I would be wasting my time. Everything we spent time on today is doable through an act of volition, an act of will. Surround yourself with positive people. Never get advice from someone who hasn't achieved what you'd like to achieve. Don't go up to a depressed person and ask, "Can you tell me the meaning of life?" Don't go up to someone in a salon who walks around like, yeah. You don't go up to that person and say, "What is your secret?" Why? Because they don't know. Their stream of consciousness is taking them into a deeper and deeper ditch. A ditch doesn't work. Never did. When will we get it? I don't want one moment of how bad things are in my life. I'm aware of challenges. I got to deal with them. Either accept them or deal with them. Surround yourself with positive people. Listen to positive music. Stay away from music like Born to Lose and songs like that. Why? Because they don't lift you. Read positive books and listen to positive people. In closing my portion today, what time do you have? 10:50. 11:50. I'd encourage everyone, if you haven't seen the movie, to go see Mr. Holland's Opus. Mr. Holland was a school teacher in Michigan, and he never wanted to be a teacher. He took the job because he wanted to be a songwriter. In order to be a success, he had to be a great songwriter. And none of his songs, he couldn't sell them. So he became a teacher, and he hated teaching. He hated it. Kids didn't want to learn. And one day in his office, one of the sophomore, junior girls was crying because she couldn't play the clarinet like her brother could, who was good. And he's ready to give her a sermon about what to do, how to correct it. And he stopped for a second and did what we talked about today, empathy. Choosing to listen with understanding rather than to listen to judge. And he looked at her, he felt what she was going through. And he said, close your eyes and play with your heart. And feel as though I'm not even here. Just play. And she played a song we all remember, Acker Bilks, many of us remember, Stranger on the Shore. And it was touching and it was heartwarming. And it changed his way of teaching. It changed his way of thinking about his work. He thought about the human aspect of his work. Well, what else is there? What else is there? And all of a sudden, he started to teach differently. And students started to respond. And he started to love teaching. Because he started with empathy. He didn't look at students as being an inconvenience out there. They're the sole reason for me. Just as for a hairdresser, the sole reason for hairdressing is the great feeling of courage and confidence and hope that you leave people with. That's the great feeling of hairdressing. Mr. Holland, cutbacks in the school district, got rid of the music program. Story's true. And so he's cleaning out his desk. His family's with him to share that moment. It's his last day in the school, and he's walking out. And his son said, "Let's go over to the gym. Let's go over to the auditorium." And they open up the auditorium. And in the auditorium is every student Mr. Holland ever taught. And up front on stage was that girl with the clarinet in a band. And they asked him to conduct because they practiced Mr. Holland's opus. They asked him to conduct and lead it. And the person thinking he's been a failure for life goes up on stage and conducts Mr. Holland's opus. Here's the clarinet. And walks out, and every single person coming up and telling him what he meant to them as a teacher. Someday I hope you think about each and every one of your clients that you've had in your past. And I hope you think about what they meant to you and what you have meant to them. I hope you think about the client who was ready to give up in life and hung on because of you. I hope you think about the girl who never thought she'd get married, left your salon, and called you up and said, "Can you work me in I'm going out on a date." And brought her boyfriend into the salon to meet you. And then she asked you to do her hair for her wedding day. How many people have asked you to do their hair for the most important day of their life? Everything you need is inside you. Your view of life determines what you're going to see. I thank every one of you for what you do for our world, to bring smiles to people's faces, especially during these times when you can't even see the smile with a mask, but you know it's there. And then you know you're not going to work to make money to pay bills. You're going in to change the world. And then when people ask you what you do for a living, you look them in the eyes and you say, "What do I do? I cosmetically and psychologically transform self-images and destinies of fellow human beings. I'm a psychocosmetologist." Thank you for your time. I know how busy you are. Oscar, thank you.
Oh my God, Doctor. Wow. So this is our version of a silent standing ovation, Dr. Lew. So you know that I got everybody on mute, but we are screaming loud. And what I want to do is go around real quick and just let everybody have a moment to share and thank you. And I'm going to start with my boy, Larry Curtis. So if you could unmute yourself, Larry, and go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Look, Dr. Lew, I love you. I first went to Dr. Lew in probably 1988. I went to one of his seminars at least once a year for about the next 12 years while we were associated with Matrix. He changed my life. My entire life, I've lived by a couple of things. I have been a find-a-wayer. Because I learned find a way, I've always figured I could find a way because of what I learned from Dr. Lew. Also, whether it's a tragedy or an inconvenience, Same thing happened to us.
The cars.
This is a car into the salon. When it happened, they called me up. I said, is anyone hurt? They said, no. I started to laugh. They said, why are you laughing? I said, because it's funny.
It's an inconvenience.
I said, it's not a tragedy. It's not a tragedy. Nobody got hurt. It's just an inconvenience. And that's because of what I learned from Dr. Lew. You've touched me so much in my life, and I have used the principles you taught me and taught them to thousands of students over the last 25 years of owning schools. So you are my Mr. Holland's Opus, Dr. Lew. I love you. I salute you, and I thank you for helping me to have wonderful principles to live by in my life.
Well, thank you so much, Larry. I love you too, brother. I remember our times together.
Thank you.
I gotta tell you, Lou, it's so awesome to hear that from Larry. And he's one of my mentors and dear friends, but the amount of times that he refers to you in our conversations over the years, it's amazing and it's wonderful. So thanks for sharing that, Larry. And let me go ahead and make the rounds here. Michelle Miller, and we're probably gonna go over a few minutes if everybody's okay with it. I think this is worthy. If you could unmute Michelle. So what would you like to say as far as takeaway values, et cetera?
Well, that was amazing. I'm crying from joy. It is definitely what I needed right now in this time of COVID. And I would love to take your message to my employees to help them. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you. Miss Melissa, if you would unmute yourself, my dear, please. Thank you.
I like Larry. Saw you sometime in the 1980s. I'm from Pennsylvania, so I saw you here many years ago. And I actually said to one of my stylists today, I'm like, today is the day I've been waiting for all year long. And Oscar can tell you that this is the day I've been waiting for all year long. And I have a few, probably last year, I had found your video of Through the Years and showed it to my stylist. And every time I watch it, even to this day, I will be crying. So I had to step out of the room for a second because they were all kind of pointing at me and laughing and making fun. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, this is just way too close and personal. And I want to thank you for all of the years of learning from you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. Which part of Pennsylvania?
Johnstown.
Johnstown. Oh, I love that city. I love that hot dog place.
Oh, Coney Island. Yes. the owner, newly retired ex-owner of Coney Island is one of our clients in the salon. So,
I'm not surprised.
Thank you, Melissa. Awesome. And Miss Cynthia, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hi. I just want to thank you. I really did need this message. I'm a salon owner, and it's very emotional, and it is about perspective.
Yeah.
That's it. You got it. You got it.
And Cindy is a doer, even if it's a last minute doer, because we just got her signed up 10 minutes before we got on the call today. So thank you, Cindy, so much. I'm so glad you're here. And you're going to be part of the next series. Thank you, Cindy. Hey, Big James, unmute yourself, my man, please.
You know, it's funny, Dr. Lew. We've only owned a salon for 9 years, but my wife's been doing hair for over 26. I don't do hair myself, but you were the very first book that I bought when she said, hey, we're going to open a salon. I said, man, I better get this book, and No Compromise was probably my second one deal. So kind of laugh about it. But that sort of started my journey in working with other salon owners and helping them. And that's how I met Doug and Larry and Oscar, obviously, and Mary and Philip. I like Mary better than Philip. Don't tell him though. But, you know, all of these 14 weeks of working and running around and trying to manage staff and everything. I mean, when you said inconvenience, I was like, holy cow, I've been loading myself up with inconveniences that I've been going crazy about. So I definitely needed that too today, and I appreciate it. I'm glad we got to meet.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd love to be one of your staff members. It looks like a great place to work.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you were calling them other things, James, besides inconveniences all these weeks.
Yeah, a lot. You know, it's funny. Inconvenience for me for 14 weeks started with an F. I don't know how that.
Exactly.
You thought inconvenience was a 4-letter word, huh?
Exactly. Oh my God. Hey, Miss Layla, can you unmute yourself, my dear? Thank you.
I just think I'm gonna have to listen to this like 13 times over. I didn't catch it all. Like I know that there's a lot to it. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Layla.
You know, when you have some of the major rock stars of the industry taking notes, I saw Larry flipping pages like me over and over again. So when we're going to the notepad, you know there's some serious content going there. Thank you, Layla. And Miss JD, please.
Thank you so much. I mean, this was some of the most amazing information that I could have gotten in these last 14 weeks of inconvenience. It's definitely, and it's, you know, it's one of those things that I'm definitely sharing with my husband this evening, because I want him to hear a lot of your message for today and to share with all of my future stylists, because it's been an inconvenience in trying to stay focused, to stay positive for the future. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much.
And thank God you got a good coach. So we're going to get you there, girl.
Exactly. Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, JD. I love you guys. Miss Mary, my dear.
Good morning. So, like many of you, I met Dr. Lew very, very early in my career. And I was just, first of all, I was amazed by his passion, and that he's the first person that I really saw and understood that you could just be all out there and so passionate. And I love that. And then when I became the vice president of education at Matrix, and we got to sit down one-on-one, and the passion was at the same level one-on-one as it was in a group. So my favorite Dr. Lew is the statement, what is. And I use it all the time. I think about it when I'm talking with people that are spinning down the tunnel. It's like, okay, let's accept what is, and then let's go from there, you know, because if you spend time thinking about the things you can't change, that you'll never change. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Mary. And Mary, you made a huge difference there at Matrix.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks.
There's Dr. Lew.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary.
I don't know. It's in my ear. I don't know how to get it off.
Chrissy, since you're unmuted, how about we start with you next?
Good, because I am Dr. Lew's biggest fan. I went to his thing for my clients here. I just did this last minute, and she's letting me talk, but he's my biggest hero. And the reason I'm successful is because of him, and all the things that he says I live by. And I've had a staff, and one time I closed my whole salon, and we took my staff to see him in Kansas City because I believe in him so much. And he's my mentor, and I just can't even say enough about him. And I'm so excited to be into this group. I didn't get in this group until a couple of days ago when I was talking to Dr. Lew. So I'm just beyond blessed to be around all you cool people. And I know a lot of you just from Facebook, and you probably don't know me, but I know you. And I'm Dr. Lew. I swear to God, I'm his biggest fan. Anybody that knows me, and he actually came to my farm and did a seminar, and I'll be eternally grateful for him for that.
Wow. Thank you for making it, Christy. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. You take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christy. You are so special. The things that you have done for people in the beauty profession, you're one of the finest there is in the world. And you are a true hairdresser. You love it. You love the passion. And you do hair every minute of the day. And yet, a real credit to the profession. And we love you.
Awesome.
Well, we love you too. Thank you guys so much. Keep me in this group, okay?
I'll be emailing you soon. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Miss Jeanette, if you can share.
Okay.
Hi. I did enjoy talk. I do believe in having a different perspective and shifting your mind and having a positive attitude. And I've been practicing that, and I see a difference in my life.
Fantastic. You've seen it works.
Awesome, Jeanette.
When you change your view of things.
We've been making lots of changes in her business, so thank God you have strong perspective, Jeanette. Thank you. And Miss Sasha. So here's what unstoppable looks like when you have a client who's not feeling well whatsoever, Doc. And she came on because she knew just she had to be part of this. So you look good for not feeling well, I got to tell you, honey.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
So my first question is, is your book still in paperback? Where can I purchase it?
Which one?
Well, all of them? Like, is it Amazon?
You know what? Oscar?
Yes, sir.
Someone was talking about she wanted to share a message with her husband. This is called attitude modification. It's 3 hours. It's 6 tapes. It's in a video on color of 3 hours of a lot of the message that we had here. This isn't for hairdressers just. This your salon clients could watch too. Your children could watch and pick up this kind of an attitude. We have this, and I have the Psychosmetology book.
Yeah.
The book, The Early Poppers.
I love it.
The wisdom of the book. If it weren't for you, we could get along. And this book is about how to stop blaming so you can start living.
Wow.
And then a book, the most recent one is a book called On, A Brilliant Way to Live and to Work. And another book, If It Weren't for the Customer, Selling Would Be Easy. all of these, this and the 5 books would be $300. But if anyone is interested in it today, it would just be $125 for everything. And if you'd like them autographed, I'd be honored to autograph them. If you'd like just this, it would be $100. And the books are $25 if you are. Let me give you my phone number, and then we can call and work that out.
Okay, so you want to do it that way? You don't have a link or anything for them to make a purchase on a website?
No, I'm not that sophisticated.
Okay. I will post your phone, or you can give it out right now. How about that? And then I'll
okay. 610-334-1824. 610-334-1824. And it would be $125 plus a postage.
I will be calling as soon as we're done.
Okay. Well, then you'll be getting the books coming out as soon as we're done.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Sasha.
No, everything you said was like, I felt like I was drinking Kool-Aid, even though I was off the screen. I was just like drinking it hot. But for attitude, like, it's hard right now. I know it's not just hard for me. I think it's hard for everyone in the world globally, what we're going through. And it's, as a business owner and finding myself just working with my team, even with clients, being, you can become like being like an empath. So you can take on like what's going on, and it's really hard to like be like, breaks, okay, let's try to talk about something that's not as sad or whatever, and make it a little bit more positive. So like attitude for what you are saying is huge. And I'm constantly finding myself having to like redirect, recheck, like re-navigate to get that energy not in the space and make it more happy, like a ray of sunshine versus like sadness or whatever people are going through right now, because everybody's
that's tremendous, because imagine what your clients are going to experience. It'll be about the only place in the world that they go that they can find that peace, that you're going uphill while the rest of the world wants to go in that direction. That's the real gift.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sasha.
Thanks.
Feel better, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And Mr. Neil, my man, if you could unmute yourself.
Sure.
I'm saving all the old guys for last.
Yeah, glad we made it. Wow. I think I heard you speak first at Raylon.
Yeah.
Like when you just got started with Howard. So
Right.
I'm gonna fast forward to 10 years ago, and you and I were doing a class for Doris Tan in Edmonton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Two parts of the story. One is just if you've ever heard Lou speak, you know he's loud. So I'm at the door to his classroom, and someone opens up the door and leans in and says, "Could you ask Lou to turn his mic down?" So I'm finally able to catch Lou, and I go, "Hey, Lou, can you turn your mic down?" He goes, "I'm not wearing the mic." Which was, and I'm going, holy shit, he's not. Anyway, we're on a flight home from Edmonton to Chicago. And thank God Lou has a small bladder, because he had to go to the bathroom and it was a small jet and he had to go to the back of the plane. And he walks by and, "Hey, Lou, how you doing?" Everything. And after he passed, it's like, you know, he was telling a story during his class about a couple of women that would get together and they would share ideas and things. And he pitched it to his publisher, and his publisher said, "That's really good." And they got their book published. So Lou's heading back to his seat, and I stop him in the aisle, and I had my computer open to the artwork for the cover of No Compromise Leadership. And I go, "Lou, I got this book. I got 67,000 words done, and I got to get this thing published." And from that moment, Lou was like into it. He goes, "Tell me about the book. Tell me, what's this thing about?" Da, 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 da. And of course, they had to finally get him out of the aisle. And he goes, "I'm going to call my publisher, you know, when we land." And you hear something. He goes, "Yeah, he's going to call it. Yeah, you know, geez, please, I hope that happens." And I get home, you know, Lou, I think you were heading back. I think you were going to Florida at the time. I don't remember.
Yeah, Florida.
But I get back to Connecticut, and I'm home for like, you know, an hour, and Lou calls and goes, "I told my publisher about your book and he wants to talk to you. Here's his number. Give him a call tomorrow." So I give the guy a call the next day. "This is really great." I'm at and I send him the manuscripts and the artwork and everything. And I didn't hear from the guy for like 6-7 weeks. And you go, you know, it was fun while the thought lasted. I'm with my wife, my son, and his wife at a Cirque du Soleil in Hartford in the tent. If you've ever been to the Cirque du Soleil in a tent. And the characters are just starting to do their thing. And I got a brand new iPhone. iPhones had just come out. And I got my iPhone and I checked my email, and it's from the publisher, from Dennis. And he goes, "Sorry, I wasn't well. I read your book. This thing needs to get published." Holy shit. So I thought I was forwarding it to, I showed it, you know, I'm passing my phone down to Joanne and Eric and his wife. And I'm going to forward this thing to my editor, and I hit reply by mistake. So now I'm replying to the publisher, and I write, "Holy shit, my book is going to get published." And then as soon as I hit send, I realized what I did. Whoops. And, you know, you're trying to get your phone to stop. And all of a sudden you hear the, phew. It's, geez. But hey, so James, if it wasn't for Lou having to take a leak on a plane, this book would not have been published. So Lou, thank you. Thank you so much.
You are sure welcome, Neil. And we go way back, buddy. And And your book is awesome because the title makes the statement, and throughout the book, it's consistent with that title. And it's a find a way book. It's another way of saying find a way.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And Neil, thank you for taking the time to join us today, my man. I love you, brother.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Anything to not deal with the 14 weeks that passed.
Just trying to kill some time for you.
Yeah, we're in the era of should.
Well, just don't shit all over yourself, okay? Thanks, Neil. And Mr. Dougie, if you could unmute yourself. Just hit that little, there you go. And before you say anything, I have to say, Doug, thank you, thank you, thank you. If it wasn't for you, this call would not have happened. I've been wanting this as my vision for 3 years, and it took you just making a call to make it happen. We got our wires crossed on the first call. Dr. Lew was supposed to be like 5 months ago, but Doug and Lew switched calls, and thank you both for your flexibility. And Doug, I love you. I call you my spiritual father. And I literally could not love another human being any more than you besides my real blood family. So thank you so much for this, Doug, and making it happen, my man.
Well, you're welcome. And I need to go quick because I know you've run over, and I love Lew. Years ago, Lew and I started off playing on different teams. And so I always loved him, loved his work, loved what he was about. And so I would start sneaking into Matrix shows and being in the back when he came off. And all of a sudden I found that when I was on stage, I'd look around after a talk, and there just behind the curtain was Dr. Lew, my new friend. And I want to say thank you, because when Lew and I were finally on stage together, thank you, Joe Tamaro. Lew was on stage and we were looking at the audience, and he said, well, say something, cowboy. And I said, well, okay, here's how it goes. We think we style hair. I said, I've never styled anything. I'm a rodeo cowboy, but I am a client. And what I want you to know is you don't style hair, you style feelings. And every time Dr. Lew opens his mouth, he shares his feelings with us. And that has changed our world so wonderfully. I love you, Lew, and I love being your friend, and I love Oscar for inviting us, and I love you for saying yes when I called you. These people have really enjoyed. So.
And then I'm going to be broadcasting this out there to the world again, so everybody's going to get a chance to hear you again.
Thank you,
That's
Doug.
great.
Thank you so much. You were the one that started it all in the beauty profession. You were the key, and I'm just honored to be part of that heritage after you.
Well, they call you both the Godfather, so we're all just descendants of you all. Awesome. Thank you, Doug. Oh, hey, Miss Lara. I saw you.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to tell Dr. Lew, where were you all my life? I am so moved and enriched by today's session, and look forward to reading your book. So I will be calling as soon as I'm able. So thank you so much for today, and just making a difference in our world, and impacting so many of us. So.
Well, thank you for those kind words, and you keep up the great work. I can see you have a great attitude, and your clients must love you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lara.
Thank you. Thank
Dr. Lew, again, from the bottom of my heart, and I'll speak for the industry that's going to see this in the future. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your talent. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your wisdom. And thank you for being with us right here, right now, on the most important day of our lives, which is today.
There you go. Beautiful. Thank you, Oscar.
I love you guys.
See you guys.
You all. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Dr. Lew, I'm going to post your number in the group so everybody can see it as well. And we've already posted it on here. So God bless you, everybody. Take care. Thank you. Thank you.